And we are live on LinkedIn. I hope you guys are all well. Andy here, of course, with my very good friend Dave Stewart, founder, creator of Market. But I don't know. I was trying to think of something better to call you than that.
The idiot behind it.
Yeah, just the guy that just seems to be all over the world at the minute, mate.
Yeah, it's an interesting life right now.
It is an interesting life. It is an interesting life. Guys, I hope you're going well. This was a little bit of an impromptu thing. We were going to have a coffee anyway. So I figured while we've got this LinkedIn beta testing going on, we'll test out some more streaming kit and we'll have a chat to this young man because he's been a very, very busy boy. A very busy boy.
Wow.
You have. So now this is something that we're going to be talking about. Market buy. For those of you that don't know, you need to know it. If you're in the US, Canada, UK.
Don't know a great deal about the UK market, but I'm able to talk.
UK and obviously for us lot down in Australia and New Zealand. Mate, just tell us quickly what Market Buy is.
Look, at its heart, it's a communication device. It just allows us to reduce the barriers of entry for everyone involved in a sale process, to demystify the sale process, to allow information to flow between everyone involved, whether it be listing agents, sellers. So effectively, someone can log into an account we create or a property we create, they can make an offer, the agent can receive the offer, the owner can receive the offer. And it's just an information flow process that allows us to, I guess, make the offer process a lot more efficient. And certainly more consumer friendly. You know, I think we're really in a world these days where people have an expectation that they're going to be able to make decisions using their mobile devices, whether it's an iPad or a phone. And real estate's no different. You know, real estate transactions haven't changed substantially in 50 years. And there's a great deal of dissatisfaction out there from all consumers, whether it be owners, whether it be buyers, about the steps they have to go through in order to make an offer on a property, about the lack of information that's forthcoming. And so we just free that up, and we've had some stunning results with it.
It's not really look or anything like that. I mean, but the reason why I think it's gone well principally is the fact that you've not just come in from the outside world. Like you know the game inside out, been in it for God knows how long. And that for me is the thing that screams out about your platform compared to, you know, almost any other sort of tech startup effort that's tried to connect with the industry effectively. You know, it's not like, you know, unfortunately you see a lot of these reps that come out or startup CEOs that come out to offices and whatnot, and as soon as they get fired even a slightly curly question that's real estate related and not tech related, game over. That's where credibility just goes down and down and down and down. Now you've had a fabulous little foray into the US.
We have.
So tell me first about Inman.
So we went to Inman really just to get a bit of a feel with what the lay of the land was, what transactional experience was like with American agents, and just really to talk to people. We just wanted to have a bit of an entry. So I'd had some experience with the US. I'd been to Inman before about 5 years ago. I'd had some connections with US agents, and we really just wanted to go over there and we didn't have any plans, we didn't have any goals, we just wanted to talk to people. That's what we wanted to do. And we did that. You know, we spent the entire, John Hellaby, who's one of my business partners, came with me, and we spent 7-8 days, whatever it was, just talking to people from a wide variety, from tech startups to suppliers to the real estate industry to real estate agents themselves to, you know, people that work at Zillow, like just right across the board. And it was just a really interesting experience for us. We got to meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of people. And we came back with that and said, you know what, we reckon there's a place for it. There's not a place for it in your traditional auction. And that's one thing I always make clear. When on an auction site, and an auction site over in the States is not going to have a great deal of cut through. You know, they work their sales very, very differently. They have buyer's agents, and buyer's agents are present on about 97% of the total number of sales. So we had to build that capability, and we had to incorporate all of those features. But they suffer the same malaise that we do transactionally. You know, there's a great deal of distrust. There's a great deal of cloak and dagger. There's a great deal of uncertainty about what's happening within a real estate transaction. So we just needed to free that up as well, and we saw an opportunity to introduce MarketVote, albeit with some fairly significant changes from the Australian version. But yeah, the initial approach has been really good.
Very good. We've just got, guys. You'll have to excuse us for a sec. We've got. I think we've got. What would call them? We've got a. I think we've got a fan.
An interloper.
And we've got a fan. And I'm just going to shift this to this one here. Just in case we've frozen completely on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure you can all hear me still. Now, this is obviously in beta testing, Dave. So as you know, mate,
I know all about beta testing.
You know all about this, and you know that there's going to be good things and bad things that come through and what have you. So I'm just going to do, can I do that a little bit? No? Okay, cool. So, yeah, the Inman conference, it just looked like it was win after win after win.
Look, we just had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We met a lot of people. And we spoke to a lot of people. And, you know, they're very open to new ideas. They're very open to innovation in the American market. You know, they are a market where they have no safety net. There's no retainers. There's no labour laws that protect them like they do in Australia. You know, in the States, they hustle and they hustle hard to make their deals happen. So they're always looking for an edge. They're always looking for something that will give them that competitive, competitive advantage from the other people within their marketplace. And there's a lot more of them per square metre than what there is in Australia, because they you know, principals and brokers don't necessarily have to pay them a wage. There's a lot more that are part-time. There's a lot more that you know, maybe only do 5 or 6 deals a year. But you know, they are always hungry for new ideas, and it's fantastic.
Which fascinates me, right? Because we were just saying this off air before. Yes, they clearly are. They're open to any sort of new thing. Right? Their mind is so open in that respect. Yet, the observations have been, and this is not just from our conversation, but from counterparts that have ventured over there and what have you, and from agents that we're talking to, realtors that we've been talking to, that there's still a bit of an archaic process going on over there, to a degree, in certain aspects.
So it's different. I mean, Australian agents have been really spoiled. You know, all of our advertising is funded by the vendor. So we're able to go out there to an owner and get $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in advertising, $3,000 depending on your area. And that allows us the freedom to be really quite, I guess, forward-thinking in our marketing, because we're not funding the bill. You know, in the States, they have a commission. But that commission is payable on sale. And up until the point of sale, in the vast majority of cases, not all, but in the vast majority of cases, the agent has to put the money in their own pocket, fund that advertising, fund that marketing until the property is sold. Now, it's true they get paid more than us, generally, on an average basis.
I'm hearing like a lot more.
Well, no, each side to the transaction gets about 3%. So it's between 2.5% and 3%. Their overall commission varies between 5% and 6%, but that's got to be split between a listing agent and a buyer agent. So as far as an individual agent, they would get, you know, slightly more than what we get, but they're funding all the marketing. You know, they're funding all of the promotion. So there's less ability to go out there and be as aggressive with VR tours and all that other bits and pieces that we do. You know, and again, it has put a little bit of the brakes as far as their innovation or their capacity to innovate from a marketing point of view.
That's
so there's significant structural differences between the way the US market works and the way the Australian market works. But what I do love about the Americans, and what really drives my passion in dealing with the Americans, they are just so open and so willing to embrace new ideas. And you know, I find that when I talk to Americans, you know, I'll say, well, we've got this platform that allows you to make offers. Now, I'm fairly used to dealing with Australian agents where they, you know, in a lot of cases, particularly in the early days, not so much now, but in the very, very early days, they would just flat out say to me, that won't work. It'll never work. Or you're trying to take our jobs, or you're trying to take us away from the real estate transaction. I find when I'm dealing with Americans, they say, look, I think we need to make these changes, and I think possibly we might need to do that, we might need to do this, but yeah, I can see how it can work. And if it doesn't work, let's give it a try and find out why it doesn't work and fix the stuff that doesn't work and make it work for us. It's just it's a different mindset. And I think, again, a lot of that is due to the way the industries are structured. You know, we have a level of security now, as much as agents don't understand it because they're stuck within their own bubble. As real estate agents in Australia, we have a level of security that is just not present in a lot of other markets around the world. You know, we have retainers, we have principals that, or owners or office that are providing us with leads. We have that structure of a full-time job, so to speak. But in America, you make a sale, it's staff. That's it. There's no safety net. No getting a nice steady check every month. And you know, in Australia, if you get your retainer, if you don't make your money, then you have to go and find another job. Yeah. But you never go a month with not being paid. You know, and that's only been exacerbated with the changes that they've made to the award rates, where even if you are commission only, you only can be commission only if you're earning a certain amount of money. So that in itself provides security to Australian agents, because once they drop below that threshold, they instantly go back onto a retainer-based system or a wage-based system anyway. Yeah. And I think in a way that stifles the imagination of the real estate industry in Australia, and it kind of allows them a level of comfort that means they don't have to take the chances that other people have to take.
That's it. I think that difference in structure means that, you know, sometimes these realtors over in the US and Canada, they have to go swinging for a home run, to put it into their terminology. You know, they have to. That's another reason why you'll find a lot of realtors that will do that on top of another job. Yeah. So from their point of view, almost yes, they're committed, but almost having that sort of mindset that if it works, then wonderful, kind of gives them again a degree of freedom to sort of go, you know what, I might as well give it a crack, because if it works, then even better. Yeah. Now, obviously, tying this in your platform into the auctioneering space, because a lot of the detractors will be the auctioneers that saying you're taking away the auctions from us, man. But we've said this, and there's a video on my website of David and I explaining exactly how they can work in tandem. But for the Americans, because they don't really know the auction market, the auction game almost at all. No, not at all. So I was chatting to an auctioneer over there on the East Coast, and he was sort of saying to me, look, he's trying to convince realtors, he's trying to get realtors to sort of open their mind up to the prospect of actually doing an on-street auction. And this is where I think there's probably another opportunity from your point of view, is the fact that you haven't got that set mindset around auctioneering in the US. So for them, they're like, "What? Geez!" I mean, they know like the sort of more like the lesser sort of scale transactions, like your eBay, so on and so forth. So they understand the whole concept of buying online, of course, but to be able to bypass that sort of piece of wiring that is holding a lot of the Australian market back, that must be quite a relief for you.
Yeah, it is. So just to take a step back in regards to auctions, I'm an auctioneer. I've been an auctioneer for 15 years. I don't believe that software can replace what an auctioneer does. You know, I'm not a big fan of online auctions. I never have been, which is why my software is not set up as an auction. And I say this to agents all the time. If you want to do an auction, go and do an auction. You know, there's that pool of the auctioneers standing in front of a crowd, you know, in people's faces, pulling bids, creating that sense of urgency, creating that real excitement. And that, you know, that can never be replaced by software. You know, that's human interaction at its finest. And in those cases, for good auctioneers, competent auctioneers, you know, you can't surpass that. No. You know, we've always set ourselves up. There's 80% of sales, or 80% of sales in the Victoria, there's 93% of sales around the country that are private treaty. You know, they're not auctions, and they're never going to be auctions because for whatever reason, the market or the agent doesn't believe, whatever the reason is, that's the market we tap into. So we provide a bit more of an auction-like feel to those type of properties. But I think taking a property and replacing an auction with an online process is detrimental to a vendor. So that's the first thing. We are not here to replace auctions.
Which is one of the reasons why, guys, you know, when I put the little tile up earlier on, you know, it is an offer communication platform.
Absolutely.
It's not an online auction platform, and I don't know why, but I sort of that's why I sort of reached out to Dave in the first place, is because of the fact that, you know, I didn't see it as an online auction platform.
No.
And you know, the story that we've got on the video is how you had, when you were at Barry Plant and you had the one say, you had like 15 offers you needed to write and you couldn't bother doing it, which none of us can. It's just farcical for the buyers, it's farcical for the vendors because it just elongates the process, and you're doing your nutting.
Absolutely.
So, and we've all been there. Any of us agents, you know, any agents that has seen that last sort of burst over a couple of years ago, you would have experienced that. Multiple offers. Yep. Generally, whoever's not won thinks that you're to blame.
And no one's happy. No one's happy.
No
one enjoys the process.
No, and then the vendor sort of sits back and goes, well, hold on, we've taken this offer, we've knocked back another 4, for example.
Yep.
Maybe we should have gone auction.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like,
that's right.
So for me, like, it's just something that it ties into a greater thing that we've got with this whole technology versus real and so on and so forth. Technology was only ever designed to make our lives easier and to make us have enough time or more time to do what it is that we enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
Or that we're good at.
Yep.
And it was never designed to take over the world.
No.
Like, why, you know, AI, there's all this fear about artificial intelligence and so on and so forth. People wouldn't be inventing it if they thought that they were going to get replaced by it.
No, that's right. And look, you know, there's a bit of a misnomer about AI. AI as it exists in the moment is not true artificial intelligence.
No.
It's machine learning. You know,
No.
it's algorithms that learn as they see a certain set of circumstances. The algorithms recognize it, they're able to learn from it, and they're able to apply different sets of protocols and solutions once they come across that situation again.
Yep.
They're not making independent decisions. You know, artificial intelligence is something of the same sort of capacity, if not higher than the human brain, that can make independent decisions with all the factors that humans take into account. You know, emotions, circumstance, all of that type of stuff.
Health, heart rate.
Machine learning doesn't do that. It is a learning process. It's being labelled as AI, but it's not true AI.
No.
But it has massive advantages in the years to come. It's very much in its infancy at the moment. You know, it's very much just a burgeoning sort of technology where they really are testing its capabilities and what it can do. But, you know, again, that's something that will assist the real estate industry. Will assist industries across the board.
Yeah.
But it's like we're 20 years away from that having any direct impact on what we do as a job. It will be like ours. You know, ours is not a replacement for what agents do. You know, in fact, you can't take our software and give it to an owner or a property seller and expect them to be able to do it. Ours works in conjunction with agents, with their ability to negotiate, with their ability to create those personal involvement, those personal connections. And ours acts as a support tool for that, as opposed to a replacement for that. And much like auctions. Now, again, I've said it. Had an agent the other day ring me up and said, well, I've got this vendor who's really keen to auction. Should I use yours instead? And I've gone, no, mate. Like, if they're keen to auction it, you know, from an auction point of view, you get to auction the property. You've got your A-class buyers that are unconditional. If you sell it on the day and grab 10% deposit on the day with the settlement that you've determined or the owners have agreed to, and you're able to lock it down. Do it. You know, you get that advantages of that, you know, that local community stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't sell it, and we all know there's a certain number of properties that just aren't going to sell at auction, use us as a backup. Use us as that third stage. Use us and say to your owners, if we pass it in, we have a pathway, we have a plan in place where we'll go back, create this sale, we'll send it out to all of the available buyers that we've got registered, and we'll create an opportunity for them to make an offer that's conditional. So yes, we'll be taking now your B and your C class buyers and we'll give them an opportunity to purchase it. But obviously on auction day, we're dealing with our A-class buyers and we want to give them first bite of the cherry. So we work in conjunction with that type of stuff. Again, you know, from my point of view, 93% of all sales across residential real estate in Australia is private treaty. That's just pure numbers. It's about 80% in Victoria, so it's slightly lower, or a lot lower in Victoria. But that's our prime market. That's what we're there to do, and we're there to provide that communication or that ease of communication and that transparency in the process to those type of sales where I think no one enjoys the traditional way that it's always been done. And I get comments a lot where agents say, well, doesn't it reduce our personal contact? Doesn't it reduce our ability to create those connections with people, whether it be buyers and owners? I'm going, not if you use it well. If you use it well, you're having those phone conversations, you're having those discussions with your buyers and with your owners, you're using our software to reinforce those conversations and to deliver that information after you've had that phone call. So in no way does it reduce that level of communication.
It ensures the buyers that you're not talking shit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's credibility. And you can use it to leverage your position in the negotiation. I can say to a buyer, look, I'm going to make a counter offer. I've spoken to the owner. The owner's seen your $520,000 offer. They want $540,000. And the buyer says to me, well, I've got to go home and talk to my partner. I have to talk to my wife or my husband or my partner, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. Now, under a traditional model, they don't ever ring back, or they rarely do they ring back.
Yep.
And you've got to decide, do I ring them? Am I being too pushy? Like with our software, you can go, that's fine. We'll give you 24 hours, but understand this. I'm going to put a 24-hour cut-off time online for that counter offer. If you haven't got back to me within 24 hours, that counter offer is no longer valid to you. And that, once we start setting strict rules and parameters around a sale, people start to adhere to it, so we can start to guide that sale a lot more effectively, not by reducing what we do, but by reinforcing what we do and using software as a tool.
Yeah, 100%. And I just think that the credibility of the whole thing, and we haven't even talked about efficiency of the whole thing.
Oh mate, I save so much time.
We haven't even talked about that. Like for me, where I was doing transactions, it was lower com, higher volume. We've got a mutual friend now, Joe, and she's like
Joe's killing it.
She's like the cat that got the cream at the minute, because we had to, I was drilled to have to be efficient.
Yeah.
And if I'd have had this sort of platform, then the volume of transactions that we could have done on top of, and increasing credibility, and increasing that sort of level of trust within the community that, and it didn't matter which culture either, because that's another thing that I think is a massive benefit of this, is the fact that it doesn't discriminate on language, because everyone talks the same numbers.
That's right.
So that is the one thing that I will say that is a distinct advantage that this platform has, because I could, if you were from India, for example, I could be talking to you and I could be laying all the lines under the sun. If you don't understand the word I'm saying, then
it's no difference.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And we're all experiencing that. Indian agents are dealing with Chinese buyers. Chinese agents are dealing with Aussie buyers.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's this big melting pot.
Yeah, and we are having such a huge, particularly with the Indians and Sri Lankan agents. There's as far as our population goes, there is a massive influx from Southeast Asia into metropolitan Melbourne, and generally that outer ring of suburbs.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, we're seeing the mix of the real estate agents themselves also change. There's a lot more Indian agents. There's a lot more agents from Southeast Asia. And those lines, years ago, Chinese vendors used to go to Chinese agents, Indian buyers used to go to Indian agents, but that's all blurred now. People will just deal with whoever they feel is going to get them the best result.
No, it's whoever's got the right property.
Whoever's got the right property, but also as far as selling, there's less of that cultural tie now.
Absolutely, because I think to a larger extent, because I went up against Indian agents going into Indian homes and whatnot, and you can't blame Indian vendors because of the fact that they feel that they will be able to communicate better with someone that talks their native tongue.
Yep, sure.
And it's their biggest transaction. You can't blame them for that in any way, shape, or form. No. But if you could do things like this and say, look, we're removing the language barrier.
Yeah, it's just numbers now. Yeah.
And that is just like you just laid that on the table of a potential vendor that happens to be from another country.
Look, and it's really simple from an owner's point of view. We don't go into a great deal of detail about how we talk about what the software actually does. Very, very simply, we'll say to an owner, how would you feel if we brought you onto the sales team for the time that the property's on the market? How would you feel at the minute we knew about any sort of interest in the property and you knew about it? You don't have to wait for me to get out of an appraisal. You don't have to wait for me to finish a meeting. You don't have to wait for me to get back to the office. As soon as that buyer submits the offer, and I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't care if it's 7 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night. The minute they make that offer, you're going to know about it. And I'll tell you what else we'll do for you. Generally speaking, when a buyer decides to make an offer, they've got to contact the agent. Generally speaking, the agent won't answer their phone, so they've got to SMS or email. We've got to wait for that agent to be free because we're all busy. So it could be a couple of hours before they actually get to talk. It could be another 24 hours before they catch up and actually submit that offer. You think about how much time that buyer's got to change their mind. You think of how much time they've got to revisit their decision. How about from a sales point of view, we understand that when someone makes a decision to purchase, that's when they're at their hottest. So we need to give them that opportunity and that ability to make that purchasing decision on the spot, and they will then spend the rest of the time talking themselves into it. It's a psychological thing. You'll start to say, well, and the owner will know about it. They don't have to wait for us to call. So we're speeding up the whole process. We're making the whole process more efficient. There are untold benefits to it, but what it doesn't do is remove us in any way, shape, or form. You cannot run this if you are not a good, decent, competent, professional agent. It just doesn't work.
Absolutely. That's what the platform, it takes someone who knows the game to work it properly.
It's a strategic platform. You've got to decide, are you going to make a counter offer? Are you going to wait for another buyer to come in? Are you going to set an end date as to when all offers have to be in? Are you going to set what time frame you're going to set on?
None of that's automated.
None of that's automated. They are decisions that are made by the agent. And the agent gets to control it all the way through. It just means they can control it with more speed, more efficiency, and they can create, as you say, that credibility where everyone's kept in the loop. Everyone knows what's happening at any point in time, at any given time. We look at it and say, well, coming from an ex-Barrier Clan office where we had 2 offices and 12 sales staff to what we do now, and we don't sell a lot of properties, but when we do, we can do it from any location, any time, easily. I've sold houses while I've been watching my son play basketball. I've sold houses as we're heading into a show into the city to go and see something that with my wife where we wanted to see a show. And I've been able to do it and say, look, send him a text message. I'm busy right now, but I've had a message from the owner. Here's the counter offer. Give me a couple of hours and I'll call you back, and at least you've got this to consider. I'll talk to you in a couple of hours' time and see what your thoughts are on it from there. So you can just speed that up. You don't have to finalise decisions, but you can give them that decision, or you can give them that information and allow them to consider it. The alternative is, they'll say, I'm busy right now, I'll call you back in a couple of hours. And we've already wasted 2 or 3 hours, and then I go back and say the counter offer is X, and they've got to start.
And then have a think about it.
Yeah, that's right. 100%. But they're thinking while I'm doing what I'm doing.
Now, I wanted to make it abundantly clear as to why I believe that there is a huge opportunity for collaboration between real life auctions and then your offer management system, because the big thing is you can control conditions on the market by platform, right? So, and this was how we initially sort of got together. So we're heading into it's going to be an interesting October.
It is.
It's going to be a fascinating October. There's going to be a bit more stock come on, obviously, which means that the supply and demand seesaw will sort of be coming into something of an equilibrium to a degree. And one thing that's going to fascinate me will be the agents that can hold their nerve, go to auction, but then harvest anybody that's B grade, subject to finance or so on and so forth. and this is where this can work really, really well. You have that initial level of competition to get that unconditional deal, which we've all agreed is the best thing to do.
Absolutely.
Ideally. If you don't get it, generally speaking, there is always at least a couple of subject twos that you know are kicking around.
Sorry.
Okay? Why not give yourself an opportunity to create that transparent level of competition via market buy, so that you can show to your vendor that not only do you actually have these buyers, point one, because any vendor that goes through the process of an auction, if it doesn't work out, there's going to be that small shred of doubt.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Absolutely. But to be able to say, look, here's your registered buyers that are at the starting gate.
Yep. Hey, and you just simply send an email out to the buyers and say, look, as you all know, we passed the property in today at 23 Smith Street. We are now opening up the offers to any buyers who may have conditions attached to their offer. Be aware that the owner can take any one of the offers. We will now be basing the owners will be basing their decision based not just on price, but the conditions that are attached to the offer.
Yeah.
And the owner reserves the right to choose the offer that best suits them, and then shoot it out to them.
And then the cool thing is, guys, you've got that instant communication. You don't have to try and work out times to meet them to try and sign up an offer. But then I want to go and have a look at another look. Look, I'm busy now, and all this sort of stuff. They haven't got that time to sort of meander off to another property and go, you know what, I'm not going to wait you might as well put in an offer here now, and so on and so forth. So guys, this is what you've got to be very, very aware of. You're going to need to, if you want to maximize the value of your buyer database, if you're running auction campaigns and you're farming all these subject twos, this for me is the best way to go.
And they're buyers. They might not be the A-class buyers.
Yeah.
And we always say that if you're going to sell it at auction, go for those A-class buyers. But it doesn't always work. Even in a hot market, even in the hottest market, 85% clearance rate.
It was never 100.
It was a really good clearance rate. You are always going to pass in a certain amount of properties.
Absolutely.
Also, before auction, we occasionally get those sales that sell before auction. It happens. Someone comes in and says, I want to offer you $900,000 on a property that you think's worth $850. Well, there's no reason why you can't go, okay, we're going to put a 24-hour cut-off time on this. We're going to shoot this out to a... you don't want those buyers coming back and saying, well, how come it's sold?
Why didn't you tell me?
I thought it was going to auction next week. How can you sell it when you've got a clearly advertised auction? You can cut away all of that. We gave you a chance. We gave you an opportunity. We had an offer that was too good to refuse. We had an offer that the owners wanted to take and they wanted to cut it short. So, this is the process that we took to do that, but we made sure that everyone had the chance to submit their best offer if they chose to. And I think, that's the sort of stuff that we've got to start getting our heads around as a real estate industry. As an industry, we have to start providing value, and we have to start providing value in a way and in the terms that our consumers expect from us. And if you think things aren't going to change in the next 5 years or the next 2 years, you are kidding yourself. The market the real estate industry is changing.
You know what? We've been saying this for a little while, haven't we? So,
and it is changing. It's changing daily.
Yeah, it is. I think it's got to the point, in my opinion, where I think for those that are in denial, I think they've been told enough.
Yeah.
I think we've tried to warn them enough now. But again, if you can, we all lack. A lot of us sort of have that sort of. If a property passes in at auction, what is our next step? There's still that question mark. This is it. We're telling you now. I'm an auctioneer, and that Dave's an auctioneer. We as auctioneers are telling you now. You are going to have buyers. There is always at least a couple.
Always, yeah.
That have just come to the open that day. They go, oh look, I'm not in a position to buy. I'm still waiting for my approval.
Yeah.
That you will farm on the day. This is, for me, it's just the biggest no-brainer I think in the industry right now.
And I've lost track as an auctioneer before I had market buy. I've lost track of the amount of times I had that really hot buyer. That one that had come back 2 or 3 times that had requested the Section 32s and the contracts, and I was convinced that they were going to show up on the day. We stand up in front of the crowd, ladies and gentlemen, where can we see a fair, reasonable start? Let's get going. And they're not there. And you go back to the office afterwards and you ring them and go, where were you? Like, we've been speaking for weeks, where were you? Oh, my broker didn't come through for me.
Yeah.
Or you get that phone call Friday afternoon at 4:30 where they say, I still haven't heard back from my broker, I don't have approval, I can't be there tomorrow and bid, but if it doesn't sell, make sure you give me a call. I can do something, but right now it has to be subject to finance. You know, in that case, you can go, as an agent, you go, look, we are running the auction. We are going to sell it unconditionally on the day if we have the right competition and the right buyers. But if it does pass in for some reason, the guarantee that I'll give you is you will have an invitation on your email to a sale that will allow you to put in a conditional offer, and you'll have that by 5 p.m. on Saturday or 9 a.m. on Monday.
But how good's that? That you can say to them, this is when it's going to start. This is when you can enter the game.
Yep, absolutely.
And again, this is, and especially in this particular set of market conditions that we have, where money is ridiculously cheap. There are a lot more buyers in the game that weren't in the game before that would never be able to go unconditional in a month of Sundays, but want to get going while the going's good.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, this is for me, it's just the best chance for you as a brand to literally put your flag in the middle of your farming area, in the middle of your suburb, and say, this is now ours.
Yep.
Literally. And you can still, and the thing is, even if you're not in an auction area, which I think that's bullshit anyway, even if you're not in an area like that, to give yourself 2 genuine bites of a big cherry to make yourself look like the player in your area, to go full out auction first, show your professionalism, show your team effort, show you're giving it everything you've got, and then to create another round of competition is just ridiculous.
And I reckon there's an opportunity for committed auction agents, for agents who are committed to the auction process. I think there's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
Because there will be a fair number, a reasonable number of vendors or potential vendors who will always kick back when you mention auction to them. Mm-hmm. You've got to go through that process of explaining to them why it's the right process to go through. Well, this can alleviate some of their fears, where you can say to them, we are unashamedly, we are not making any apologies about the fact that we are going for our A-class buyers in those first 4 weeks. We are aiming for an unconditional sale. I want you to get where you're going without any hassles, without any problems. But if we do have to pass it in, and making sure, understanding that my job as an agent to make sure you get the best price possible, if we do have to pass the property in, we have a set plan. We have a process that will allow us to bring all of those B and C class buyers in. We're not going to base it on price. We're going to give you the opportunity to choose the one that best suits you.
Yeah.
You will make the final decision as to which offer is in your best interest and the one that you're more, that you're more likely to accept. But we have that plan. We're now no longer talking just a straight 4-week campaign to auction. We're talking an 8-week campaign. We've got 4 weeks where we're aiming for our A and B class buyers, and most authorities are 60 days. Like it logically ties into the stuff that we're already doing with vendors.
And that's the thing.
We've got a 60-day authority. We're going to have it sold in 60 days. We're going to go for the goal in that first 4 weeks. We're going to go hard to get those buyers that are A1, no conditions, pay 10% deposit on the day, clean as you can, competition where we can get it. If that doesn't come off, because let's be realistic, let's be pragmatic about it, it doesn't always come off, we're not going to leave you hanging with regret and despair at the end of a Saturday. We're going to give you a really clear pathway to a sale, and we're going to do it that provides a lot of auction-like features to it, transparency, competition, but we're going to allow those conditions, but understanding conditions can have a big impact on what's the most appropriate offer for you to take. I'm going to give you the choice to choose the one that's most appropriate for you.
And this is the thing, gang, right? The only reason why, realistically, a potential vendor, is nervous about the auction process is the fear of the unknown.
Fear of passing it in.
It's the fear. It's the fear of, but what if I'm in that 20 something or 30 something or whatever it is percent? That is literally the only thing that stops them.
Yeah.
Because if you could say to a vendor, look, I can 100% guarantee that within 4 weeks we're going to get an unconditional deal on the terms that you want.
That'll do it.
Where do I sign?
Absolutely.
At the level that you want.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, therefore, it is that passed in percentage that they fear because they don't know what's in that abyss. That. So if you could say, no, guys, no. That if we go into that part of the process, the path is so clear and lit, it's not even funny. And you still get to maximise the level of effort that you've put into to create the competition in the first place.
So when I first started doing auctions, and this is in the early 2000s, I did my novice auctioneers competition in 2000, so 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was trained by one of Australia's best auctioneers, Barry Plain himself.
Yeah.
Trained us, and for anyone who knows Barry back in his heyday, he was well regarded as one of the best auctioneers in the country. And he always drilled into us that auction was the best way to sell, auction was the best way to get a result for your owners that was clear and free and without hassles and conditions. But to be very, very clear about the fact that it was a 3-stage process.
Yeah.
That we had that third stage. There was pre-auction, auction, and then that third stage that was post-auction if we passed it in. And he drilled into us that you had to have a plan in place. Having said that, there was never really a plan. The plan was to transition it to a private treaty and hope like hell that some bastard came along and bought it. That was
pretty much.
Hope is not a plan.
No.
Wishing that it's going to sell is not a plan. But by doing it this way, for the first time I reckon ever, we can really incorporate a true, credible, believable third stage to the process. And it should enhance the auction process, not detract it and not threaten it by any stretch of the imagination.
It literally pumps a bit of a steroid injection into it.
It does.
In my opinion, it literally gives you, as an auction listing agent, like superpowers.
Yeah.
To be able to give vendors zero reason to worry.
And if you want an online auction feel, like if you want that, use Gavel.
Yeah.
You get all auction. What is it? Auctions Live? Is that the other one?
That's one in New South Wales based.
There's a anytime auction.
Yeah.
So there are those capacities where you have those live streaming products now that will allow people to bid remotely. Again, those people will be bidding remotely and downloading contracts on an unconditional basis. You can enhance that stuff. You can enhance that in auction experience by providing that access. Market buy again as a third stage just provides that additional layer. But we've got to start not using one piece of technology. We've got to start integrating all of this stuff.
And that's the thing, man. Like at the minute, we're still looking at the different ingredients.
Yeah, it's alright.
And
you don't make a cake with just flour.
But you know what I mean? Like we've got all these awesome spices and flavors and herbs and all this that make this dish taste bloody brilliant, but we're still limited ourselves to like 2 or 3 ingredients.
So I don't sell a lot of properties these days. Like I'm in my 21st year of real estate, and as we were talking before we start this, I might flog a house or 2 houses a month, but I don't.
Yeah.
Like I spend most of my time on market. I've got 1,000 agents, and we've just launched into the state, so like I'm pretty busy. If I was starting an office from scratch and I didn't run market buy, and I was running the perfect campaign, this is what the perfect campaign would look like from a listing point of view. So I would set it up, with really good marketing, some drone photography, some videos that I was boosting through social media. That would take care of my marketing, where I was touching a little bit on the major portals, using obviously social media. I would run it into a 4-week auction campaign. I would get a highly skilled auctioneer like yourself to come and do the auction for me. I would run that auction with something like Anytime Auctions or Gavel, so that I had that off-site bidding capacity.
Yeah.
And I would have my owners really well set up so that they understood that this was our best chance for an unconditional sale. You know, we have to listen to the market, and obviously we do that in the 4-week lead up. We have to listen to the market. We need to know what buyers are saying. We need to be responsive to that information. And we want those people who aren't going to stuff us around with a building inspection clause or a finance clause, because we all know finance is it's cheap, it's more difficult to get. But if we don't get there, I don't want you to worry, because stage 3 for the next couple of weeks, we're going to provide a very much an open, transparent platform, and we're going to allow those B and C class buyers, those people that have building inspections and finance conditions, we're going to allow them, we're going to invite them into the sale, we're going to allow them to compete for it. And then once we've got to a point where you're happy to sell it, we're going to give you the opportunity to choose the offer that's most appropriate for you. I reckon I could almost, you can never get 100%, but I reckon I'd get pretty close to 100% sell rate in an 8-week period using that process. And I'd flog as much of it as I could on auction day. You know, again, using a variety of different mediums.
Absolutely. I think that's it. You know, like we know and accept that there's no such thing as a guarantee, but I think we've got to let go of that. You know, I think that's probably for me the biggest barrier to entry with real estate agents is they are all still after that magical 100% thing. Aren't they?
There's nothing.
And it doesn't exist. So you might as well try and increase your probability as much as possible by doing that sort of thing. That for me would be, even trying to deconstruct it, there are no chinks in the armour.
If you laid that out in a really well-worded, well-presented listing proposal or listing presentation, you're not going to get a whole lot of people say no to that.
All right, gang. We've taken up enough of your time, and we've taken enough of Dave's time. There is a delay on LinkedIn, and apologies at one point during the start there where I was messing around, so on and so forth. Like I said, with beta testing, there are a couple of little chinks in the armour that need to be fixed, but we're certainly getting there. LinkedIn's certainly getting there. So again, thank you to LinkedIn for giving us the opportunity to be one of the testers. Much appreciated. If we can get guys like this individual on a little bit more to a few more people, then I reckon we'll be in a better place. Mate, thank you so much. You guys take care. So do you. And guys, if you're not looking at market buy, you're not doing yourself any favours.